Brand new boxing podcast, the 10 Count Boxing Podcast. My name is Cyril Lehung, and I've got news from the fight game. In the early hours of this morning, I was up at 2 a.m. I was up watching Top Rank fight card in the bubble. As you may know, they've had quite a lot of these over the past month or so. And some have been really good, some not so good. There's been some hit and misses. There's been cases of fighters testing positive for the coronavirus but I've enjoyed some of them, And this morning I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed watching Felix Verdejo make a statement, as I would say. He totally blasted out Will Madeira, who was previously undefeated, and he blasted him out in the first round. Killer uppercut, and then a barrage of punches to knock Madeira out. Was really good. If you have not seen it, go on YouTube, look for it, find it somewhere. It was a really good special knockout. And that left me to question, where do we have Verdejo now? A few years ago, he was a prospect everybody was looking forward to seeing, and he just was special. We all thought he'd be special. And then he had the motorbike accident, and then coming back, he sort of labored a little bit. I guess opponents he should have really put away. And now, I think that given his performance, it makes me interested to see what he has coming going forward. I mean, sure, I don't want to get carried away and say he's ready to take on the likes of Vasily Lomachenko or Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, or any of those guys. But you can sort of add his name in the conversation, and it'll be great to see how he progresses from here. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Speaking of that top rank card, I remember a lot of people earlier this year were talking about a young Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson was part of Tyson Fury's training camp, when he was getting ready for Deontay Wilder. This youngster had a lot of people who were in that camp excited about him, talking about how they feel he could be a superstar in the heavyweight division one day. Well, Jared Anderson is 20 years old, calls himself the real big baby. I hope the real big baby turns out better than the other big baby, who I don't want to talk about because I feel like he has no place in our sport. But Jared Anderson, I like Jared Anderson. He knocked out Hector Perez this morning, also in the first round. But what I really liked about him is that, he weighs around 108 kilograms, 108, 109 kilos. But he really moves. He's light on his feet. He moves like a super middleweight, maybe a light heavy. He's really light on his feet. So it will be nice to see how he progresses moving forward. I'm not saying he's ready for the big names yet. I think it'll take some time before they put him in against your big guys, your big names. But he's one to keep an eye on for the future. And it's nice to watch some boxing. Fans around the world have been starved of boxing. And we got word now that Japan have had their first post-lockdown show, where Daishi Nagata shocked Koki Inoue for the Japanese super lightweight title. Japan as a country which often produces quality fighters, so it's great to hear that they're back in the fight game, and so it's great. And talking about opening up, the big news over the past week in South Africa has been about the reopening of gyms. Boxing South Africa has given the green light for fighters to get back in the gym, obviously under strict conditions. Those strict conditions include practicing social distancing, fighters have to be about 2 meters apart, no sparring, no pad work. And while some feel it's good, it's a step in the right direction, others have not been too thrilled about this. They're not getting too excited. And I can see why they're not too excited. I mean, we are right in the middle of a pandemic, and the number of coronavirus infections have been rising rapidly in South Africa. I read somewhere that South Africa is now the country with the sixth highest number of infections in the world. That is right, sixth highest number of infections in the world. That is crazy. That's horrible. And so some top trainers are not keen to open up their gym. I caught up with Colin Nathan, who trains top fighters such as, the IBF flyweight champion Murutim Talani, former two-weight division champion Hickey Butler, and highly rated fighters such as Lerato Dlamini, Azinga Fuzile, and so on. And Nathan is not too keen on opening up his gym as yet.
I'm going to open when basically we're on a level where I can actually coach effectively, where I can actually take my fighter into the ring, put on my mitts, and get him to do some rounds on the mitts with me. It doesn't even necessarily mean that, we have to spar, but I want to be able to coach my fighter effectively. So for me, I'm just going to wait for that moment.
That, of course, is the voice of Colin Nathan, who is one of the top trainers in the country. And another thing we need to remember, given the whole opening of gyms and the COVID-19 situations, is that we do have hotspots. Some of the country's hotspots include Gauteng and the Eastern Cape. I mention these because these are the two provinces that provide the highest number of fighters in the country. And when you think of that, you have to agree with trainers who want to wait a bit longer before they open up their gyms. Here's how I feel about the whole situation. I know Boxing South Africa means well, and it's great that they're thinking of the fighters, and they mean well by opening up the gyms. To me, it seems a bit premature, especially as it looks like we're a bit far away from hosting any fights. I don't see any fights happening in the next 2 to 3 months, personally. I think the situation with this virus is still very risky. For now, as fans, I think we just have to sit it out, wait, be safe, keep practicing the social distancing, and look out for whatever international action is out there, which you can find on various platforms. I know the top ranked shows, they've got Oscar Valdez taking on Jason Velez in the bubble. They're in Vegas on Tuesday, which for me it's quite a nice fight. Someone I'd like to see. They also have Edgar Belanga on the undercard, and he's very exciting. He's knocking people out. Obviously, still very early days in his career, but he's one I like to watch. So yeah, that's my thoughts and a little bit of info, a bit of news here. So yeah, let me know what you think about the 10 Count Boxing Podcast. You can hit me up on Twitter at Cyril Tepo. On Facebook, I'm Cyril Tepo Lehung. There's also the Toe to Toe fan page, which you can also hit me up on. On Instagram, Lehung Cyril Tepo. Please. Yeah, and also the comment section. Let me know what you think of the podcast, who you would like me to talk to, who you'd like to hear from, and keep listening. And hopefully you enjoy this, and look out for the next podcast, next episode, the 10 Count Boxing Podcast. I'm Cyril Lehung. And I'd like to say stay safe. Goodbye.